Hi, and welcome to Ian Wallace, the Messed Up Counsellor. Today I'm going to give you an understanding of the book, the first book that I wrote, and how that journey kind of came about, and a bit about the book and a bit about what it will give you if you choose to buy it. The book is, as all my books are available on Amazon, I self-publish, so I can keep my words, my ideas to myself, to my audience. Because if we go through some kind of publishing company, they tend to change it, alter it, adapt it, to basically try and make as much money out of it as they can, which is what they're there to do. But that loses some of the individuality, some of the words or the content, and some of me, in a sense. So I've chose to go down that route of self-publishing. So this first book, why do we do that? And what do we do about it? Came about as a idea that other people had said to me that they found what I talked about, what I shared, what we looked at interesting. And they said, why don't you write a book? Now, my process of reading, writing is not easy. I'm dyslexic. I know that about myself, and I have no hang-ups about that nowadays, although I did for many years, which is kind of one of the reasons why the book really wasn't an easy thing to get off the ground. So I was kind of working out how I did that. And the universe provides, as I always say. And got talking to somebody, a young lady, who was interested in the book and the ideas that I was talking about, but said, well, you don't really need to write the book. And I said, well, okay, how do you do a book without writing a book? It seemed a bit of a strange idea. She said, well, your words are yours, and your words and the way you talk and the way you come across actually is very good. It's very approachable from her point of view. So why don't you record the book, and I will then audio type it for you. And I went, okay, that sounds an interesting idea. And then when I've audio typed it, you can then edit it if you want and look back over it and tweak it however you want. And so that's what we did. I would do 2 or 3 chapters, and then she would audio type it and send it back to me, and then we put this book together. And I will be forever grateful for her for introducing me to that idea and getting me going, because up until then I'd stuck with that I can't do this process. And that was another thing that the book was trying to give people, an understanding that they can do it. It is okay. You can challenge and go forward, even though it feels like you never will. You can't. So it was, for want of a better word, a self-help book that I was thinking about. But then I thought, well, yeah, I can do that, but maybe it would be helpful if people had an idea of how I came to be where I am and what I was doing. So I thought, right, okay, maybe it needs to be more than just a self-help book. Maybe it needs to be something that gave people an understanding of how in real life, not in theory, you can overcome these difficulties, these concerns, these worries. So I said to myself, right, okay, the book needs to be more than just a self-help book, because people get self-help books in January usually, and then they come across February and the self-help book goes out the window, as we all do. You know, people join gyms in January, get fit, and then by February they aren't going anymore because life's got in the way or something. So I thought, okay, maybe needs to be an idea of the journey I'd made to become a counsellor, which is it's not an easy route to take, with the disclosures I've put in the book. Is real life, it is me, and it is what happened to me. So I kind of came through a process of, the initial journey is the first chapter. And this is not an academic book, I need to say that. when I first published it a few years ago now, I got a feedback on Amazon, as you do, and the feedback was from somebody who'd bought the book and said, well, this doesn't give me any ideas of theory, or it's got no references in the back, and it's not an academic piece. And the first page of the book basically says this is not an academic book. And obviously they'd not read the first page. So from that point of view, it's not an academic book. It's not got references. It's not got theories in that sense. So anybody that's buying it from an academic point of view, it will not be helpful, because the ideas are mine. It's not referenced by anybody else. The ideas are mine. They come from me. They may be adapted from other input, but it is about me and about my world, and that's not an academic piece of work. So the initial journey is about how I came to be a counsellor, how I kind of went through a process of life, as a lot of people do, where I'd gone through a breakdown of a relationship, a divorce, a process of finding a new way, new life, and how hard that was, as it is for a lot of people, to kind of like find a way forward. But in going through that divorce, separation, and all the worries, concerns, fears, awkward situations of life that come with that, which is never easy for anybody, I kind of like found that I want to do something more. I was in corporate life at that time, and corporate life was very high flying, a lot of money, going all over the UK and abroad, and working in a way of helping people to train, develop, grow within that corporate environment. A big American conglomerate I worked for. And that process wasn't making me feel fulfilled. It was a job, and I liked the job. I didn't mind the job. I liked training. I liked talking to people. I like engaging with people. So in that sense, it was good, but it wasn't fulfilling me anymore because this change in life that I'd gone through. So I said, okay, what else can I do? What other skills have I got? And as always, the universe provides, and I will keep saying that because it usually does. I was going through Leeds train station, coming home to Wakefield, and Yorkshire Post kind of freebie newspapers shoved a paper into my hand. And being dyslexic, I don't really read newspapers, to be honest. I do more now, but I didn't do it at that time. So stuffed it in my bag, went off and got on the train. And the train was delayed outside Leeds station. There was a signalling fault or some reason. And the announcement said, oh, you're going to be, 15 minutes, 20 minutes late. So I thought, okay, what do I do to 15, 20 minutes? So I pulled this paper out and looked through it, glanced through it. Something at the back of the paper caught my eye, and it was an advert for training, and it was training to be a counsellor with Leeds University. And I thought, that's an interesting process, possibility, to look and see how I might move forward. It was giving me all the understanding of what being a counsellor was like and all those kind of things, and it seemed to dovetail with my experience and knowledge and awareness. So I rang them up and made an appointment. And they said to me, right, okay, unfortunately, all the places have been filled. Okay, fair enough. But we'll put you on a waiting list. And if a position becomes available, then we'll get in touch with you. So I dismissed it. And I said, okay, yeah, fair enough. Got back to corporate world. And then about 2 weeks later, got a telephone call inviting me to go on this course. A place had become available. And that was my first foray. It was a year's course, first foray into counselling. So because of that, it got me down that path, that road, that journey, to look at being a counsellor, which was very challenging, which might sound a bit strange. Becoming a counsellor is challenging, but it is, which is why I call myself the messed up counsellor. There is a reason I chose that, because I think we're all messed up. We're all human beings. Counsellors are human beings. They mess up, same as everybody else. And that process means that they have to go through life, as we all do, and make decisions, make differences, choices to become whatever they want to become. So going through that messed up counsellor process, you have to, as a counsellor, understand yourself a lot more than most people do. We call it reflective. And you have to kind of look at yourself and really go deep. And that can be emotionally a painful journey for a lot of people. But kept on with it and did a year there. And I found out through that process, which is the second chapter of the book, that I fitted. I fitted in. It felt comfortable. It felt natural. It felt good. I then had to make a fairly major decision. Do I give up corporate world, which is providing all the income, paying the mortgage, or do I completely go into this new area of the world and start becoming a counsellor? And that was not an easy decision. But with the support of the people around me, financially as well as mentally and emotionally, I decided to do that. And to be fair, for anybody that's a counsellor that's looking at this, that's training, it was the best decision I've ever made. Money-wise, no, definitely not. But from a point of view of feeling as though I've given something back, as though I've helped people with my understanding my world, then it is very fulfilling. And it is a recommendation that I would give to anybody if they were able to kind of do that work, is to look at it, because it is a massively fulfilling job and role. And I enjoy every day. I know I'm working with people's grief and their emotions and the difficult things in their lives, which isn't easy. But it's enjoyable in the sense that I'm helping them understand themselves, helping them make decisions, choices, move forward. So in the 20-odd years I've been doing it, I don't think I've ever had a time when I've regretted making that decision. And I think for most people that I am connected to in the counselling world, they feel pretty similar if they're working in a place and a way that they feel they're in control and comfortable. So when I found the thing I was really good at, and then I had to find somewhere to put that. Where do I work? Who do I work with? What kind of client base do I connect to? And I thought, well, I've gone through this 2 years of pain of divorce. And I thought, well, I've got some ideas of separation, divorce, loss, those kind of areas. And so because I'd been through it myself and I've used some of the tools that are in the book myself to get through those processes, then I thought, well, maybe I need to work with people who are going through separation, divorce. And the biggest place at those days, 20-odd years ago, 27 years ago, was Relate, which is a national organisation. So I approached them and started thinking about working with them, and I got through. They accepted me, went through a couple of years training with them to develop those skills, abilities and things in couple work, but also doing individual work and young people's work and family work. So I kind of like mastered a lot more skills and abilities around how I go about doing that role, that job, that function. And I found, again, that I fitted. And I think when you fit, when something is comfortable, when you're okay, the world just works, which is strange. I think when we're not comfortable, when we don't fit, the world is more challenging. There's more obstacles, more things that go wrong. And it certainly seems that way to me. I don't say that's for everybody, but it's certainly something I've found, that whenever I've done any decision on anything I've done previously, I made a choice to be a teacher. So I went to do a 2-year course, degree on becoming a teacher. And as soon as I did that, I'd never advertised myself as a teacher, and I don't mean teacher in schools. I won't work within that environment. That's far too challenging for me. So I teach people who pay, adults, generally speaking, or organisations who pay. And going through that process, about a week after I'd finally got my piece of paper, somebody from a local organisation, the council, gave me a ring or an email, I can't remember which, maybe both, and said, well, would you like to do a training course for us? I'd never advertised that, but the universe provides, and it allowed me that opportunity to get out there and start that process, working in a way that I again found I fitted. I found it was helpful and relaxing, and it was good. Now, I'm 6, 7, 8 years down the line from that, and now do training courses all over the place for myself and for other people. So from that point of view, don't think that any choice you make, whatever that choice is, it leads you somewhere. You know, people will say to me in the counselling room, say, well, you know, I don't know what to do. Sat on the fence. I don't know if to do this or to do that. And I said to them, well, that's true. You've not made a decision to do anything. But sitting on the fence is still a choice and a decision to sit on the fence. So you're in control because you sat on the fence. You may not know which way you're going to go, left or right, backwards or forwards, whatever it is, that choice. But you're making a choice to sit on the fence. And that sitting on the fence is taking time out to think, to work out. So you're still on a path and a journey, even if you don't think you're moving, which is an interesting process to put towards people. And they then find that sitting on the fence is not a bad place to be. It's actually an okay place to be. I don't need to make a choice yet. I can do, but I don't need to. And until I need to make that choice, or want to make that choice, more importantly, then I'll just sit on the fence, which is great. So the book is that journey from where I was in corporate world into being a counsellor. And the book is also a self-help book, if you want to call it that, in a sense that it has a lot of tools, a lot of ways of looking at the world, which is why it's called Why Do We Do That? Because human beings do everything for a reason. They may not know the reason, they may not understand the reason, they may not even think of the reason. But there is a reason why we do things. We never do anything for no reason. And that reason, then, means that we make changes, develop, grow. But we need some kind of process to help us do that. And so the last part of the book, the third of the book, is all about tools that enable you to do that. So it's not just giving you an understanding of me, which is about a third of the book, and an understanding of the things that go wrong in life and how you may look at those things. But it also gives you an understanding of what you can do with it. How do you do it? What do we do about it? And I think in that sense, it's been really helpful for the people who have found the book. And the book isn't there to make a profit. It does, obviously. A lot of work went into it. But it's there to find whoever needs it. So from that point of view, if you find the book, or if somebody gives you the book, then there may be something in there that will be helpful as an understanding that even when the darkest days of life, and it was dark, some of those days, in those 2 years, there is always a possibility, always an option, always a choice. And even though we come through it, and I've come through it, and I've learnt an awful lot about myself and about other people and how it works and how it doesn't work. And that process of coming through it has developed me, grown me, enabled me to be more able to understand life, situation, difficulties. And then I've helped other people understand that. And I think for me, that's what it's all about. My job as a counsellor, as I always say to clients, is to make me redundant. I don't want to be them dependent on me in order to have their life. My job is to come in, do some understanding, awareness process, and help them to make those changes. But then whatever we've done, they can use the next time, the next time, the next time, the next time. It's not something they need to do with me every time they may need a choice and decision making. So the last part, as I say, is the tools to enable those things to happen. Hopefully, you'll look at the book and see that it might be helpful for yourself or somebody else and make that purchase. And if you do, that's fantastic, that's great. If you don't, then it's not the right time, and that's okay as well. I'm Ian Wallace. I'm the Messed Up Counsellor. Take care. Enjoy.